Okay, Gail, I think you can go with the introduction now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to see so many counselors here from far and near on our wonderful webinar that we're going to present by Nurse Smith.
Correct.
I want to thank Ms. Usher for asking Ms. Smith to do this. I'm looking forward to learning about fentanyl since we all deal with kids in school.
That's next week. Fentanyl's next week.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Bob has something up. Oh, marijuana edibles. Oh, okay. So I know what was in my brownie earlier. Anyway, again, welcome. Again, welcome everyone. I'm excited about our presenter and what she's going to be talking about. She's a graduate of nursing from Syracuse with her bachelor's, a master's from LIU. I went to LIU too. She's worked as a registered nurse for the past 12 years in many healthcare settings such as subacute, med-surg, step-down, et cetera, et cetera. And she worked as a family nurse practitioner in a school-based clinic for a federally qualified health center in the Bronx for the past 4 years. Ms. Smith, I welcome, and counselors, let's give Ms. Smith our undivided attention.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you guys, here listening to me and what I have to say. All right, so I'm gonna open up my screen. And just let me know if you guys see my PowerPoint. Yes, okay. Yes. So my PowerPoint today is going to be about marijuana edibles among middle school, high school children in the United States because, there's a increase of marijuana edibles since marijuana has become legal in the United States, in New York, especially, and like Colorado, for instance, okay? All right, introduction. Edibles refer to food products infused with marijuana. They can be chocolates, beverage, gummies, candies, baked goods. And according to articles that are read by priests, edibles can be homemade or commercially prepared for conspiracy. The most prevalent method of marijuana remains as smoking. The edibles are becoming popular, like I just mentioned, because of the legalization, especially in New York, among school children. And this is a slide that shows edible packages that look like real snack packages. The only difference in these packages is that it has like a little thing that says THC. So as you can see in this little package here, it just says THC, and then like the Oreo package, they just change it and it says double slend stonio, and then it has THC in it. Signs that a child is using edibles. So these are signs that you have to be mindful for, is that they have like delayed reaction times, poor muscle coordination, red eyes, and increased appetite. And then some other symptoms are like hallucination, panicky, they feel the heart racing, they may have like shallow breathing, and also anxiety might be present. So, just And some of the risks of consuming edibles is that because the potency is unknown, so these homemade edibles, they contain, like I mentioned, the THC, which is a psychoactive ingredient that a lot of people don't know about, and it's added to the food. So many of the, the products, like I mentioned, like they can be the Oreos, they can be the Sour Patch candies that imitate, the original candies or snacks, they have the THC in them. And long-lasting effects of edibles, it lasts longer because the onset of it can be like 30 minutes. It can start to take effect, or even up to 2 hours, based on the amount of the THC that's consumed. Negative side effects, the National Institute on the Drug Abuse reports that edibles are associated with medical complications that were never thought to be associated with marijuana. For example, school-going children are consuming edibles They're suffering from vomiting, drowsiness, paranoia, heart problems such as, irregular heart rhythm, respiratory depression, like I mentioned, agitation, confusion, and also number one is panic attacks amongst a lot of them. All right. And so during like Valentine's that passed, we have to be very mindful with the candy, and like during holidays such as like Halloween, and also like snacks that, because it's so accessible, like you can easily access these like at smoke shops now. So we have to be very careful of what our children are munching on and look at the labels very carefully. Okay, why school children are at risk? School children are at risk because they, they're adventurous, they like to explore, so they're curious. So curiosity sometimes, will have them like, hey, let me just taste that, and they get it, like I said, I guess from stores, like smoke shops. They're elders, like older adults, they may have it in their home, and they get it, they bring it to school, they share with other children, and then not knowing that it has THC. So since doing this, they hide it, they don't let you know. In December 2022, Fox News, they published a story about school students in LA who had overdosed on marijuana edibles, because like we said, you don't know how much they consume, you don't know the effect, because sometimes it takes longer. And so that's that. So in New York Post in December 22 showed that many middle schoolers are overdosing on the edibles. Okay. Causes for medical emergency. And again, it's due to overconsumption of the edible marijuanas. And it has also led to an increase in the number of children being admitted to the hospital emergency rooms. You're starting to see cases because, like, again, there's no clear indicator on when will they have any symptoms of it. Okay. And evidence shows that marijuana edibles only make up about 1% of the total sales, but they contribute to 11% of the cannabis-related emergency room visits. So emergency room visits among young children is at a rise. What is alarming, like I mentioned, like in Colorado, it's also legal. So just to mention that, there has been 3 associated deaths involved in edibles. So it's more harmful than smoking. So we have to just, like I said again, just use safety precautions. All right, statistics. This is just a little bit of statistics about the edibles. Again, in New York Times, in January of this year, they showed a surge in accidental consumption, especially among children under 6 years old. In 2020, there's cases of edible consumption among pediatrics accounted for more than 40% were poisoned and to exposure. 33 were children in grades 9 to 12 have used marijuana in their lifetime. Okay. And again, it has increased tremendously. So what can school counselors do in this case? Because, school counselors are someone that children, they go to, so you can give them like positive direction, have talks with them and their parents. Also, give them a heads up, say, hey, among other peers, like, are you guys out there, where do you, like, are you looking at the labels of these, of like potato chips, candies, cookies? Are you looking at the labels? Like, just educate them to really be mindful and to look at these labels, okay? And please, have school staff on board as well if you feel, and if a child comes in and you suspect that they may have, definitely bring them, if you do have a school-based clinic, definitely have them come to a school-based clinic so that they can be assessed and they can be managed afterwards. Either sent home or with EMS if they have a respiratory depression. We're going to call EMS. Even if it's not in school and you may assume that they have consumed an edible, you see a package there, definitely call 911. And this is something I thought like was like really cool, is about like marijuana, like the dangers of it. And just like any other substance, not to drink and drive because it impairs judgment. Again, you can call it poison control or 911 in case there's an emergency. And to conclude with the PowerPoint, like I mentioned, edible consumption among middle school and high schools can be accidental or intentional. It's high in the states that have legalized recreational marijuana. And as I stated, statistics show the most hospital emergency visits for children is cannabis consumption for edibles. And there's potential risk of negative and long-term effects. And it can be prevented by school counselors to identify behavioral changes and also to continue to engage with students as you want to. And these are references. And do anyone have any questions? Open for questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you find that most of the kids are getting the edibles from someone in their household? Are they purchasing themselves at bodegas and stuff?
I'm finding that they're, and alongside my other colleagues, that they're purchasing them themselves. They go to the smoke shops that, you know, that have these edibles there. So it's easily accessible to them.
So just to be clear, the smoke shops that you're describing are illegal, right?
Yeah, they're legal. They have like, you know, like the they sell the hookah, the paper, you know, for the marijuana, you know, stuff, things that they need for it. Yes.
But like, for example, there's a few of us on the call from Long Island, and they haven't even opened any legal dispensaries yet. So I guess that the materials that the kids are getting are still technically illegal. Okay.
Yes.
Huh, that's interesting.
Miss Smith, Nurse Smith.
Yeah.
I like to say that, Nurse Smith. Great presentation. I'm going to piggyback off what Bob, our executive director, was asking. So young people can go in these smoke shops and they will they will sell them the edibles?
Yes.
Without, but they're like under 18.
Listen, it's more for them, their sales, unfortunately.
We didn't talk about K2, but I guess it's very similar to walking into a store to buy K2.
That I'm not sure, because you know most of the encounters I have is with fentanyl or it's with the edibles.
Wow, but yeah, K2 is sold in bodegas as well. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
I'm looking at the chats, and Ray Polk put up that a lot of the edibles that they're seeing in school are homemade.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like I mentioned, ever since it's became legal in New York, but there's a certain amount and they don't know the dangers and effects. So, it's upon us to keep on educating them, letting them read these labels, and let them know, it's really serious.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. We have like 41 participants on it. Do we have people from all over the state? Kind of curious what we're seeing in other parts of the state.
Yeah, if it's legal or not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's legal, but there's no dispensaries open yet. So
yeah. And how are the children able just to walk in the stores as well as some of the smoke shops? And instead of making some of them at home, are they able to just how do they obtain it? That's very interesting to know.
Yeah.
My question, and you were showing the different snack fruits.
Yes, let me go.
And they have THC. Are these sold in smoke shops as well?
Yes.
Or are they sold in stores?
No, they mostly.
I would never. Sold, I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead.
They're mostly sold in the smoke shops.
Yes. No wonder.
Yeah, I think the issue is, and I heard this from adults, is that even people who regularly use marijuana, the edibles have such a variable dosage
Yes,
that they don't know how much of it to intake
exactly.
to get the certain effect. Yeah.
That is correct. Because certain packages may have like 100, some may have 200 THC. So yes, and that's what makes
Yeah.
it more dangerous.
One of our counselors, Christy, she said that she lives in rural Western New York. They don't have smoke shops, but many of the kids go to the local reservations to purchase cannabis.
Gotcha. And then
Yeah.
leave them at home.
We're way out in the hills, so
Uh-huh.
transportation is an issue, but that's what we're seeing, that my kids are linking up, and they know
Yeah.
when to go to the res, who to ask, and if they're underage, and getting it that way.
Gotcha.
Wow.
There's always a way.
And,
Yes, if there's a will, there's a way, and they're making their way.
and Kellyanne says that many smoke shops won't sell marijuana directly to kids, but they offer them a gift.
Exactly. Yeah.
So buy this, you'll get
Wow.
buy one, you get one free. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I will say, me being naive, if you could believe that, I worked in a high school, a very prominent high school,
Mhm.
and the kids were, one of the students was selling brownies because he getting money for his graduation. And he was selling brownies. I want to contribute. I would love to buy a brownie. He told me no. I said, why you need no? Because you won't like it, Doc. You won't like it, Doc. I'm like, okay. Next thing I knew, there was a couple of kids in the AP's office that were sick for buying those brownies. And they had marijuana in them. So I guess that's why, he told me that I couldn't buy them. But that's the first time I've ever encountered marijuana and brownies.
No, it can be in brownies, like the candies, and they find a way. And also, like, I know, like, speaking like to our high school staff here, they do not allow them to have any kind of bake sales or to bring anything in.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the edibles and them being scared.
So what could we do as school counselors? What are we looking for?
The red eyes, they'll tell you they're very anxious, difficulty breathing, they'll say on my chest. And then as a provider, I assess them and I look at their eyes. They have like little glossy red eyes. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, they have consumed. And then I'll ask to like, did you read the package? Do you know? Some of them know and some of them don't know. And depending on how severe, we'll call the parent and have the parent come pick them up. If not, then you have to call EMS if there's any respiratory distress, like really difficulty breathing, they can't breathe.
Wow, and I think the other statement was sometimes they get it from home.
Yes, so you have to be very careful. Yes, and how you store anything, medication, anything, because the adults, they do get it from the adults as well.
We had a good question in the chat from Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a medical study or resource we can use to educate families?
Just because of the heightened right now, there's not much out there. So they just saying like, if you feel like it's an emergency, 911, poison control.
Yeah, I wonder maybe National Institute of Health or something has some kind of resource.
They haven't come up with anything yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we can just take your PowerPoint
Yes.
Yeah.
and educate parents on what it looks like, because I would have never thought, as much as I like Cheez-Its, I'm looking at here, I like Doritos. Yeah. I can't imagine me going to the store and buying it and not looking at the bottom. Yeah, just by chance they get into a regular store and wow.
Yes. So you have to be very mindful. Like the Doritos, as you can see, it's circled and it has THC. And also so we have so some of them don't like really change. Like this is the Oreo, but they change the covering. Yeah.
Doritos are bad enough for you anyway.
Correct. And
I like Doritos, Bob.
Just being
Wow.
just because I don't have any. Yeah, there's a lot of information out there just as is presented now, but there's I'm seeing like I'll paste in this thing I just saw from, and it's essentially the same information that Kanisha just shared with us. Yeah, it's increasing, but now what? You know,
Yes.
I think that it was fairly easy as a school administrator to understand when somebody's smoking weed in the bathroom.
You can smell
But
it.
yeah, but you know, if somebody's got a package of brownies, it's not nearly as easy, and it's
Yes,
not
exactly.
nearly as it may have a bigger effect on the kids because of the dosage.
And you also
So,
want to find out, like, you know, did they give anyone else, and where did they get it from?
yeah,
You know, you have to really backtrack.
So I just want to quick, hi Ray. I just have a question, and Christy as well. You saying that young people are going to the reservation. I mean, is there anything that someone could, have a meeting with
yeah,
people
so-
from the reservation? And I mean, is there any prevention that you
Oh.
guys can do?
Gail, with the ones that I'm aware of, it's not our young people. That's too far to get to the reservation for my
Oh,
guys.
Okay.
But I'm hearing that like a family member might be going out there, and they got it for the grandmother or somebody who has a legitimate purpose to have it. And
Okay.
like they may have cancer, so they have, the ability, they go out to the reservation, get it, bring it back. But then somebody will go in and grab a couple of lollipops or whatever and start passing them around that they took from a
Okay.
family member.
Okay.
So even though we don't have the shops here in the area yet, the reservation has it, and people are making the trip from Nassau out to Suffolk, picking it up for their legitimate purposes, but then kids being kids, finding ways to dip into it.
Christy
Okay.
was going to say something.
Yeah, same thing, although I am seeing some of our older teenage students actually purchasing and then bringing it back for younger kids specifically as well. We're in Allegheny County, one of the poorest counties in the state. And so, the drug use is rampant, and they grow up seeing it. It's just another avenue to kind of go over to the res and then deliver it to the younger kids. And it's scary. And it's like you said, I've done this for 30 years as a middle and high school counselor. It's hard to set danger zone of not wanting to accuse someone if you think that they're under the influence, and then educating the other staff that are pretty oblivious to some of it. And then again, getting them help. We don't have a lot of, medical help that's available locally. It's then the other piece for us has been the laws being lessened with juveniles, in terms of, we kind of sit there and go, okay, if they're distributing it, do we go in a legal direction, or when we know not much is really going to happen? Sometimes their punishment is harder in the school than it is, legally outside of the school of what happens. So it really, it's difficult. So.
And how soon would, like, if there's an emergency, how soon does the ambulance come?
That would depend on who's on call. Sometimes it
Gotcha.
takes quite a while, and then the closest hospitals are 20 to 30 minutes away. So,
Gotcha.
yep, we just do the best we can with it, but it is pretty scary. And a lot of times with the older kids, they don't want to narc on their friends of who gave it to them. And
Yes.
sometimes, they didn't know anything was in it, so they really don't know what's going on. And that's very frightening for them too, when they get sick from it.
Do you hold on?
And I believe as well too, the advisors, like we said, to educate the school staff, even advice, like when they have advisory sessions, just do check-ins with them, and just keep them informed, and to know the seriousness of it as well.
Okay, you do like not weekly, but like I guess monthly assemblies, like showing what marijuana does to the brain, like they used to have that commercial many years ago.
They don't work.
We can collaborate. Yeah.
I think several people are putting up comments regarding vaping. And that
Yes.
might be, that might be another webinar, but I know it's a collateral problem. In
Yeah.
terms of, kids don't smoke anymore because it'll kill you, but they'll vape.
It's so funny that you say that, Robert, because we also have like this. Oh, I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Yes. We
Oh,
received
wow.
it from the Department of Health.
Ah,
Yes. Because
Go-
like you said, vaping, e-cigarettes, yes.
yeah, we had a gentleman do a keynote on vaping years ago at a conference, and everybody understood that it was a problem and how dangerous it is. But again, what do you do about it? Yeah.
And then like Ray mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ray. You said some of the adults are involved.
Right, well, what I was referring to is the ones that are going to the reservation. If a person, I know in one case, it was a grandparent that has cancer, so they're using it for medicinal purposes legitimately.
Mhm.
And the children were taking the candy and the adult wasn't realizing it. And they were bringing it to school, and it looks like, you're pointing out, so they're passing around a bag of chips or whatever that was meant for somebody else, and the kids took it without their knowing it. And then when you catch them, it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't know they were taking it.
And I
Wow.
think we should also like whoever's in charge of the parent association, we should also, as a team, get them involved as well and educate them and maybe have webinars with them as well, with the parents.
Well, that's the thing with these edibles. I'm finding that families are very much like they recognize this is not good. The vaping is a whole nother story because many adults think vaping is, like Dr. Rotunda said,
Wow.
cigarettes will kill you, but vaping, that's just water vapor. The adults are not educated to how dangerous it is. And then you throw on top of that the fact that you put the cannabis oil into it. So now
Mhm.
those hits, depending upon how much potency is in it, kids are dropping out like crazy.
I'm really thinking that we should have parent-teacher associations involved and really
Mhm.
educate them on all of these.
Yeah,
different
I know that
substances.
we have a really good relationship with the New York State PTA, and
Okay.
they're all over this.
Bye.
All right,
Good.
great. Great. So that, I think that's our first step right there. Yeah.
I'm just curious, and I throw this out to the counselors. The kids might be using it, but I want to know how many parents are using as well, and how do they educate their child not to use it? It's not a question. I'm just throwing it out. It's not a question. It's like, parents smoke cigarettes. We see kids sometimes smoke cigarettes. Parents are smoking marijuana. What do they tell their children in terms of bringing it to school? In terms of edibles, or, what I'm saying, anything that they use. I'm just curious, what would parents, what would they say in terms of we as counselors educating parents as well as children that they should not be using it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
We've
It does.
actually,
Go ahead, Chris.
we've actually had the reverse. We've actually had students that have behavioral or mental health issues have the parents kind of medicate the kids, using cannabis before they send them to school to calm them down. So part of it is cultural of what we see way out in the hills, unfortunately, at times. So, and then some of the parents are just truly oblivious to it, and just not recognizing it in the home if the student brings it home.
Oh,
And
okay. That's
I-
good education. Go ahead.
I
Ray.
would suggest that in many cases, the whole legalization and that whole debate that, it's becoming more mainstream. I can't tell you how many times driving home from work with my windows closed, I can smell it all up and down the highway, and that's illegal, but it's happening. So it's, or when you're, walking in the store and you could smell it on somebody's clothes like you used to smell cigarettes.
Mhm.
It's becoming much more commonplace.
Becky made a good point. That there's some new technology. It looks like a smoke smoke detector that works. I read this in the paper too. It picks up vaping in school bathrooms. That helps. Not sure how many schools have it, but I did read that it's coming out there.
We have the fanciest vape detectors you can purchase. We put them in this year. Like I said, we're a very tiny rural school. We have, less than 400 students in our building. Within the first 5 days, we had 19 vape infractions. Though, what we're seeing now is the kids, what is the name for it? Zeroing out. The kids will now, if they still go in the bathroom, they will hold the vape in their lungs to try to get it to dissipate enough for the detector to not go off. But the detectors will pick up marijuana and other things in it. And just today, our students are so addicted with the vapes that one of the girls had her third offense and then got into a verbal altercation with the assistant principal and threatened to punch her and stuff. Again, you get into that, the detector goes off really quickly, and then they go kind of search the students for discipline issues, and you get into that, who's going to witness and tell on who, and who's in the bathroom, and who does the cameras pick up. So, they do pick up a lot, but it can cause some other issues too. And then we find that they vape other places. So we now are having to put vape detectors in the nurse's bathroom and some other areas as well that we know the students are going into and using. So, but it does send a very strong message. It says, we're trying, but.
Does anyone on here from downstate? I would like to get your opinion. Okay, Barbara and Sam. I don't see who's talking, who's speaking rather. Okay, but Barbara and Sam, both of them said basically the same thing, that there are no boundaries and their parents are smoking with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
That would be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
would be accurate. I've heard we had one kid EMS and his mom called him to ask him about the money for the weed, and he told her she could take $20 from his stash.
Wow.
Where's the amount?
But the student was on his 13th birthday.
Oh, wow.
But do
you mind me asking, what happened to him after?
what happened?
Yeah, after he was EMS out.
He was EMS. He did admit he got high before coming into school. ACS, a call to the state was made. They took the call. The worker never followed up. He would ask to see what happened, and he was more concerned if he got to school late or if he came to school than if he was still getting high, and nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing. So
Go ahead.
at this point, it's more like about harm reduction than anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because I don't know what the chances regs are if they come out with new regs.
Well, the regs still stay the same. If he comes in high, if a student you suspect is coming in high, you EMS them.
Yeah.
But, it's like we get kids and we see kids, and whether it's in school, outside, on the train, on the bus, they smell like weed, like if it was cologne.
Mm-hmm.
And and nobody says anything anymore. It's like it's acceptable. Like it's more like, oh damn, you got good kind of weed. Where did you get that weed from? You got a good batch. And it's that's how normalized it's become. And it's really sad because I remember growing up, I was able to buy a pack of cigarettes for my parent. But after a while, when more regs went on, we weren't allowed to buy cigarettes anymore unless you were of age and they ID'd you. That's no longer the case for anything.
Yeah.
You're actually more likely to get ID'd for alcohol than you are for cigarettes or a cigar or anything like that. It's really sad. Yeah.
I put a link in the chat for a place that sells vape detectors.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so a couple people have asked already. You'll get a copy of the PowerPoint tomorrow. The chats, like we always do, we save them. And some of them, there's some links and stuff in there, as well as a link to the recording of this. And an evaluation, which we always do as well. I remember I attended so many state PTA meetings 2 or 3 years ago, and they were like beating the drum against legalizing marijuana, and
Mhm.
essentially no one was listening. I mean, it came down to I'm going to be blunt. I think it came blunt. Make a bad pun. I think it came down to tax money. Is what the real issue was. It was it's supposed to generate, legalization is supposed to generate a bunch of tax money, but it's not even legalized yet. Or it's legalized, but it's not even legally available yet, and it's a problem already. So it's going to be.
Is there two types of legalization? One for was it recreation, and the other one is you have to have a doctor's note,
Medical.
prescription
Yeah.
medical.
Yeah,
Oh.
recreational, it's, and I'm not sure what it's like around the rest of the state. But the recreational places aren't even open yet. In terms of dispensary is not the right word, but of places where you can buy them. I know that they're issuing licenses and things like that, but those are technically not even open yet. But with a preponderance of some of these bodegas and smoke shops and things like that around on every corner that's got a supply. I'm not sure how the legal places are going to make any money.
I agree with you, Bob, because I was going to tell you, you just come to Brooklyn and there's one like on every corner. As a matter of fact, there's two of them in a block. They're competing against each other. I mean, it's. I understand why they did it, but they didn't think long term. I don't know if they thought about it when alcohol became legal or cigarettes, but they're not thinking long term. They're not thinking long term. So we have to do the best that we can in terms of educating our students. And as long as we give the information, then we've done our job.
I don't know if we brought up what Darlene said in the chat, that there's misinformation about vaping and consuming edibles, and that they're mistaken believed to be safer than smoking. That is correct.
Yeah. Wow.
Just wanted to let Darlene know that, yeah, she's correct.
No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because they believe that, okay, it's safer, but it's totally not, because we don't know how much they're consuming.
Any other questions? Any other answers?
I guess everybody's quiet and thinking.
No, it's just it's new information for me.
I don't want to be the professor that call on students tonight, so I'm not going to do that.
And it's okay if we get done early. So if there are no further questions, I think that we could give you 15 minutes of your life back today.
A whole 15 minutes?
I know, a whole 15 minutes.
A whole 15 minutes.
Well, you're saying, like, in terms of like, do we have any more questions in terms of marijuana use?
Yeah. You got any other questions?
I mean, I just don't know what else is it that we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. And it has been very much normalized. I think the hardship where is as more as it is normalized is how is it that we're expressing or educating that the use of marijuana at such an early age is really detrimental to the development of the brain.
Good point.
And more so is our students that are being treated for other mental health disorders.
Mhm.
The counteraction that it has with that medication. And I don't think people are aware so much of that. And I say this as I've had a student who I know is treated for ADHD, and I know that smoking weed is something that's going to counteract his meds, and it would be better off for him not to take ADHD medication, because he's probably safer than not, and safer in the aspect of the kind of incidents that he will get himself involved in with the counteraction of the two would be worse than if he had no medication whatsoever. And I don't think we have enough information to educate our families and students on that.
Just like a lot of you guys mentioned, a lot of the parents are smoking with these children. So it's like, our hands are tied. So what do we do? Especially the ones like Gail and a lot of you guys mentioned that the parents are smoking with them and have edibles with them.
Yeah, well, one person just said that a lot of people think that marijuana is good, is healthy. I agree, it is healthy in its natural form, the way it's intended.
Yes.
It was intended to be used. And I say this, I don't know who I was telling the other day. I said, hey, there's a cure for everything in this world if you go to the Amazon and you really deal with the tribal people from the Amazons who, yes, there is a cure for every kind, for everything in its herbal form, in its natural form, but even at that, when done correctly, but they're taking it out of context and doing more harm than good. So, I mean, from the state, do we have any kind of pamphlets to educate our kids? Something simple where what are the counteractions if with the use of illegal drugs or mixing, let's say, because kids are going to say, oh, Ms. Barbara, weed is legal now.
Yes.
So
that's the answer.
is there anything to educate them in simple forms?
I think I'm wondering what's going on in health classes in high schools. If what kind of information is being provided there, because that's kind of a natural venue for it. It always has been. There's always been, drug abuse information that come out. But this is kind of new. I'm wondering if it's managed to make it to high school health classes.
It's not even high school. We have to come down to middle school.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they take health too.
But to be honest with you, I mean, it's not being touched, and just for the simple fact that on a school level, we're not allowed to really ask about medical diagnosis.
Yes.
And are you taking any medication? I mean, I work in a District 75 school, and a lot of our kids do take medications. So our parents do share that information because they do have 504s filed. And some of our schools do have mental health clinics that are co-located within our buildings. So it is information that we share, and we kind of collaborate to make sure that we're not seeing any negative changes or negative side effects if dosing or medication gets changed. But we're only a small percentage of our kids in the state. So overall, what is actually being put out there, if anything at all? And also, this is something new. The legalization of marijuana and the accessibility is something that's new over the last couple of years. So I think our little kids kind of think that that's just a natural scent.
Yeah.
As far as bringing it down to middle school, I know in Nassau County and specifically our school district, we do in our health classes, they address the vaping, they address the edibles as part of the curriculum. We do student culture meetings where we bring, one that we do is we bring the Nassau County Police in, and they do discussion about vaping and edibles with the slides about how it's bad for the brain. But again, these one-time hits on things, it's really not sinking in when you're seeing it all around you and in pop culture and everything else. But it is being addressed, at least in our health classes, both at the middle school and the high school level.
I mean, that's awesome out there. Is anything coming down from the state though? Does anybody know that? Any
I'll have to-
literature,
I haven't looked
pamphlets,
at
anything?
I haven't looked at the health curriculum or New York State. I'm making myself a note, do a little research. Because we can get info out to not only the 45 or whatever of you on this meeting, but it's the kind of stuff that maybe needs. I was just looking at the ASCO website, and they've got a ton of information on clicks for vaping and clicks for edibles and so on and so on. So we can share that. We can share that with the membership. Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, and I'll make this comparison, but it's easier for our kids probably to get a pamphlet on condom use or
Yeah.
sexually transmitted diseases than this.
But that took years too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where Savannah works, but she says that her school does not talk about marijuana or vaping.
Oh, why?
Hi.
Is it taboo? Are they religious?
I work in a high school in Brooklyn. So like me and two other teachers are trying to do like an anti-vape club because it's not talked about at all in the building. It's mostly talked about sex, unprotected sex, racism, and like stuff like that, and nothing about substance abuse, which has to be talked about in the building.
What part of Brooklyn are you in?
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
curious.
Say it again.
Bay Ridge.
Stop it.
Yeah.
What high school is in Bay Ridge? Not Madison.
No,
Be careful.
it's for Hamilton.
Oh, that was my next one.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it because it's hush hush or the kids don't talk about it either?
Oh no, the kids do it. So it's like a lot
Okay.
of attention for vaping, but like none of the adults talk about it. It's like if they get caught vaping, it's okay, it's detention, but that's it.
All right, but
Wow.
why are they not following the regs on that?
I'm not sure. That I don't know about. But right now we're trying to do like an anti-vape club and see how that goes.
Well, that should be good. Yeah. How are you putting it together?
Me and a few teachers are talking about maybe using our personal experiences to see, then maybe come up with like a video and like put it every day during second period. So
Okay,
they can
when you-
get the news.
Savannah,
Yeah.
I can understand the video, but I would not share experiences.
Yeah, we didn't
Oh,
get the
because-
okay for that yet. One of the teachers said that, but we was like, it's further that we have to get details onto that.
Yeah.
Right, because
Savannah?
I wouldn't do personal experiences because instead of you being a counselor, you'll be known as a counselor that vapes.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily share experiences, but I would try and get a video or put a video together showing what vaping does.
Savannah,
Yeah,
if I could
Michelle.
interrupt, I just
No,
want to
it's
tell you that if you go to bevapefree.org, we're doing a big campaign and they have everything. They have lessons, they have videos, they categorize it by age. So they have middle school, they have high school, and the information is all free. So a lot
Okay.
of your footwork could maybe be cut in half if you just sit and just kind of go through it. It's a great, great, great website. Check it
Okay.
out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And good luck.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
As far as SAPPERS workers, they're very far and few.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Be Vape Free. It's sponsored by CVS. Cool.
Okay.
Yes, they according to the resource that came to me, they said that when they realized the impact of smoking and vaping, they no longer sell cigarettes. Now they have patches to stop smoking. And this was one of their ways of giving back to the community, which was
trying to provide knowledge so that the word can spread, if you will. So it's a really good resource. It really, really is. If you guys check it out, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's cool.
Mhm.
Multitasking. Yeah, we put the link in the bevapefree.org in the chat, and Barbara just put some cool material from NewYorkCityEd.org. Nice little posters.
See,
Yeah,
that's why
so-
we put these videos together, these webinars together, each one teach one.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think the point that we're making to ourselves is that there's a lot of materials out there. We just gotta get them into a place that we can share with each other. For the other, 7,600 counselors who aren't on this meeting.
I mean,
And-
I think as New York City DOE, at least, as counselors, anything that we have to present has to be pre-approved and I
Yeah,
guess vetted
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure how that goes with other information that we're given. But it is something that we have that's going on with
It's
the
good
little
stuff.
ones. It is.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll share, like I said, we'll share the chats that have all the links in it that we put up already. And as time develops, NISCA will develop some more information and try to share it with everyone. I've made a bunch of notes on this, and we've got another webinar next week. Let me share that PowerPoint.
That's gonna be a good one too.
The fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
Because little do students know that sometimes they lace it with fentanyl.
Mhm.
Marijuana can be laced with fentanyl.
Yeah, so that's coming up. Good segue. Got to find the right slide. Yeah, so next week we have a fentanyl workshop on April 4th with Nurse Smith and Counselor Burnout in a couple of weeks after spring break and such. And then we have a series of webinars for principals and counselors. We are going to get the information out tomorrow, the next day, on school counseling regs, mandates, and taking ownership and regarding your program. We did similar ones last year at that time of day. We got a really good turnout of principals and such. So we're going to start promoting those tomorrow. We're also going to see if we can promote them through principals associations and such. Because I think one of the things that we've noticed about school counseling programs and such is that one of our barriers is I see Cricket here. One of our barriers is our administrators who don't know as much about the programs as they should.
Exactly.
So
we encourage counselors to come. It's not just for principals, it's for this is our webinar.
Yeah. So I forgot to change the name from our last webinar.
And counselors, you can tell your friends to also sign in.
Yeah.
Or if they're not a member, they can go on the website and become a member.
So
I'm just looking in the chat. It was Kimberly, if I'm not mistaken. She wrote, "What does all of this look like on the elementary level, like as far as info and educating students?" That's really great. Hopefully next week I can piggyback and get back to you on that note, because that's
cool.
very interesting, because they think it's candy. So yes, and
Yeah.
sweets and cookies, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to, and we have a really good relationship with the New York State Association of School Nurses. Maybe we can coordinate something with them. Cool.
Is there a way you could share the slides with me? Because I came in late.
Oh, it's going to cost you $1.
Those
$1.
stats.
Wait, Bob, how late was she? Was she 5 minutes late? It's $5.
I don't know. $5. Okay. No,
I
Tanisha's
paid
gonna
$5.
It's gonna be on our website.
Tanisha's
Michael
gonna
disappeared. Hi, Michael.
Tanisha's gonna send them to me, and I'm gonna get them all out to you
Yes.
to you
I
tomorrow.
was trying to maneuver and do two things at the